Marcus Johnson had been wiping down tables for 12 years at the same diner. He smiled at customers who wouldn't meet his eyes. He said, "Yes, ma'am," and "Yes, sir," even when they snapped their fingers at him like he was invisible. But the night the elegant black woman in the tailored suit left $0 on a $47 check, everything he thought he knew about survival shattered. What she left instead would expose a truth this town had buried for decades. The Riverside Diner sat on the edge of Clarkston, Georgia, where the railroad tracks divided the town like an old scar that never healed. Marcus had worked there since he was 22, back when his mama was still alive and his son Jamal was barely walking. Now he was 34. Jamal was 12. His mama was gone. The uniform they gave him was always one size too small, like they couldn't be bothered to order the right one. The name tag said Mark, because someone had misspelled it years ago and nobody cared enough to fix it. He was good at his job, better than good. He remembered orders without writing them down, knew how people liked their coffee, could defuse angry customers with a smile that cost him something every time. "Marcus, table 7's getting loud," Linda called from behind the counter. She was the owner's daughter, 19 years old, studying business at the community college. She meant well, but she had the kind of confidence that came from never having to prove you belonged somewhere. Table 7 was 4 white men in their 50s, cops from the precinct down the road. They came in every Friday night after their shift. They were loud, crude, and they always left 8% tips. Marcus had learned to take it. "I got it," he said. He approached with a fresh pot of coffee. "Can I warm that up for you, gentlemen?" One of them, Officer Brennan, looked up with that flat expression Marcus had learned to read in an instant. Not quite hostile, not quite human. "Took you long enough," Brennan said. Marcus poured the coffee. His hand was steady. It was always steady. "My apologies, sir. Anything else I can get you?" They waved him off. He walked away, feeling their eyes on his back. At table 3, an elderly black couple sat quietly. The Washingtons. They came in every week, ordered the same thing, 2 chicken specials, and always left exactly 20%, because that's what proper people did. Mrs. Washington caught his eye and gave him that look. The look that said, "I see it. I'm sorry. Keep your head up." He nodded once. She understood. That's when he noticed her. She sat in the corner booth, the one nobody ever wanted because the vinyl was cracked and the table wobbled. But she sat there like she owned the place, wearing a black suit that probably cost more than Marcus made in 3 months. She was black, mid-40s maybe. Her hair was natural, pulled back in a way that said she didn't apologize for taking up space. Her eyes moved across the diner like she was cataloging everything. Every interaction, every microaggression, every moment of invisible violence. Marcus approached carefully. "Evening, ma'am. What can I get you?" She looked up at him, and for a moment he felt seen in a way that was almost uncomfortable. "Coffee, black, and the pecan pie." "Yes, ma'am." When he brought her order, she was writing in a leather notebook. She didn't look up, just nodded. He left her alone. She sat there for nearly 2 hours, watching. Marcus felt her attention on him all night. When Officer Brennan snapped his fingers for the check. When the young white couple at table 5 complained that their food was cold, it wasn't, and demanded he take it back. When Mr. Washington tried to pay with a credit card and the machine malfunctioned, forcing him to go to the ATM across the street in the rain. The woman in the corner saw it all. At 10:47 p.m., she stood and walked to the register. Marcus met her there. "Just the coffee and pie?" "Yes." The total was $8.50. She handed him a credit card. He ran it. She signed the receipt, left the merchant copy face down on the counter, and walked out without a word. Marcus picked it up. The tip line was empty. $0. Something cold settled in his stomach. Not anger. It was thick, cream-colored, expensive. On the front, in precise handwriting, "For Marcus Johnson, this is not what you think." His hands shook as he opened it. Inside was a single typed page and a business card. The letter read, "Marcus, I watched you tonight. I watched you smile at people who treat you like furniture. I watched you apologize for things that weren't your fault. I watched you make yourself smaller so white people could feel bigger. I watched you survive. My name is Dr. Claudia Monroe. 20 years ago, I was you. I worked at this exact diner, wore this exact uniform, smiled at these exact people. I left Clarkston when I was 22 because I was told by everyone, including people who looked like me, that I was too ambitious, too angry, too much. I became a civil rights attorney." Marcus didn't sleep that night. He sat at his kitchen table in the apartment he could barely afford, staring at the letter. Jamal was asleep in the next room, his homework spread across the bed. The boy was brilliant. Straight A's, talked about going to Morehouse someday. But Marcus knew how the world worked. Smart black boys didn't always make it to Morehouse. Smart black boys got tired, got beaten down, got told to be grateful for table scraps. At 6 a.m., his phone rang. "Marcus, it's Linda. I need you to come in early today," Sarah called out. He almost said yes. 12 years of conditioning almost made him say yes. "I can't today," he said. His voice sounded strange. There was a pause. "Excuse me? I have something I need to take care of. Marcus, if you don't come in, I'll have to write you up. You know that." For the first time in 12 years, he smiled without it costing him anything. "Do what you need." Marcus opened the folder. The first page was titled, "Johnson v. Riverside Diner, Inc. Class Action Lawsuit for Systemic Racial Discrimination and Wage Theft. His name. His truth. On paper." They filed on a Tuesday. By Wednesday, the local news had the story. By Thursday, it was regional. By Friday, it was national. Marcus's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Reporters, activists, strangers telling him he was brave. Other strangers telling him he was a race baiter, a liar, someone looking for a payday. Riverside Diner released a statement. "We categorically deny these baseless allegations. Marcus Johnson was a valued employee who is now attempting to exploit the current social climate for financial gain." Linda called him. "Marcus, please. My dad's not a racist. You know that. We've always treated you fairly." He thought about the 12 years of $2.13 an hour. The 7 denied raises. The time he asked to leave early for Jamal's school play and was told, "Family emergencies only." "Linda," he said quietly, "you don't even know my son's name." She hung up. The hardest part was Jamal. Kids at school heard. They said things. The trial took 8 months. Dr. Monroe was relentless. She brought in the security footage of James Collier. She subpoenaed 15 years of employment records. She put 7 former black employees on the stand, each one telling the same story. Discrimination, wage theft, retaliation. Marcus testified for 3 days. The defense attorney was a white man in his 60s who looked at Marcus like he was a problem to be solved. Mr. Johnson, isn't it true you were late to work 14 times in the past 2 years? Yes, sir. My son had asthma attacks. I had to take him to the ER. And isn't it true you received multiple complaints from customers? Yes, sir. Mostly from customers who didn't want a black man serving them. That's speculation. No, sir, that's what they said. To my face. The attorney smiled. Mr. Johnson, do you really expect this court to believe that you endured 12 years of discrimination and said nothing? Marcus looked at the jury. 8 white people, 3 black people, 1 Latino man. I said something, sir. 7 times. I was told to be grateful I had a job. The jury deliberated for 2 days. When they came back, the courtroom was packed. News cameras, activists. Riverside Diner's legal team looking confident. Marcus sat next to Dr. Monroe. His hands were folded in his lap. He wasn't praying. He was just waiting. The judge looked at the jury foreman. Has the jury reached a verdict? We have, Your Honor. In the matter of Johnson v. Riverside Diner, incorporated on the charge of systemic racial discrimination, how do you find? We find in favor of the plaintiff. The courtroom erupted. On the charge of wage theft, in favor of the plaintiff. On the charge of retaliation and wrongful termination of James Collier, in favor of the plaintiff. Marcus couldn't hear anything. The room was spinning. Dr. Monroe gripped his hand. Breathe, Marcus. Breathe. The judge banged the gavel. Order! Order! The damages, $4.7 million. Back pay for every black employee who had worked at Riverside Diner in the past 15 years. Punitive damages, policy reforms. But more than that, James Collier's name was cleared. Posthumously. His daughter, now 26, stood. 6 months later, Marcus stood in front of a new building in downtown Clarkston, the James Collier Justice Center. Dr. Monroe had used part of the settlement to create a legal aid clinic for service workers facing discrimination. Marcus was the director. He still wore a name tag, but this one said his full name. Marcus Johnson, Director of Worker Advocacy. On opening day, a young black woman walked in. She was 24, wearing a food service uniform. Her hands were shaking. I work at a restaurant downtown, she said. My manager, he keeps... I don't know what to do. Marcus pulled out a chair. Sit down. Tell me what happened. She looked at him like he was the first person who'd ever listened. It's going to be okay, Marcus said. We're going to fight this. Together. Because some tips aren't measured in dollars. Some tips are measured in dignity. And dignity, once reclaimed, can never be taken away again.